What's up, YouTube? I thought I'd share a quick video with you guys today on velocity banking and how it creates peace of mind. And I want to do this by sharing a little story about myself, where we'll go to the next page, and how I started my journey with velocity banking. So before velocity banking, I was lost. I was working 2 jobs to make ends meet, and I'm not blaming anybody for this. I put myself into this situation by the decisions I made, but it was very difficult working 2 jobs to make ends meet and trying to live a life in my mid-20s. That way I didn't have time to do what I wanted to do. Didn't have time to go to the gym, didn't have time to work on hobbies. I enjoyed reading and learning and things of that nature. Didn't have time to do any of that. Didn't have time to build relationships. For me, it was work, go to sleep, and repeat. So that was it for me. And I had high levels of debt. I had student loan debt at the time. I had a car loan. I had to pay for apartment, all this stuff, and the debt started to rack up. I had credit cards debt, and I lacked financial education, so I wasn't smart enough to make educated decisions at the time. So I lacked financial education, had no real sense of direction, didn't know what I wanted to do at that point. And that's when I had decided that I had to make a change, and it was very frustrating, and I had to do something about it. And that's when I began this journey of self-development, and I began to do lots of research on the financial gurus in the space. And one of the first people I found was Dave Ramsey. So his system was the first that I began to implement. So for those of you who are familiar with it, there's 7 steps. You do the 7 baby steps. The first one, I believe, is to save up for an emergency, right? And then you have to start paying off debt by using the debt snowball method. And I started doing that. And what I realized is that if you are a low income earner, anybody making $15 to $25 an hour, this method is still very difficult. And I found that if you're not making a certain level of income, it's going to take you forever to pay off this debt, because you have to use whatever's left over at the end of the month to avalanche into or snowball into the debt payments. And I just didn't have enough, wasn't making enough in order to pay off my debt. My cash flow was negative. So I had to get creative. I had to think outside the box here and come up with a new solution for somebody who was in my current income bracket. And this was with me still working 2 jobs, wasn't making enough. So that's when I found velocity banking, and this is when the transformation began. So one of the first YouTubers I saw with this concept was a YouTuber called Denzel Rodriguez, and I began to consume his content because he was a very articulate and well-spoken person when it came to explaining velocity banking. And I watched this channel because I saw somebody who was in a very similar position, just starting out and trying to build themselves up from where they were. So that's why I resonated with him, and I watched a lot of his content. And that's when the transformation began. With velocity banking, we use debt, we leverage it to pay off debt. And that was the huge key, because it allowed me to, while I was still making low income, be able to pay off debt at a quicker rate than the debt snowball, and put me in a position for complete transformation to the point where I only had to work 1 job now. I obviously moved up to a management position, so I was making a lot more money, paid off debt. I had a sense of directions. I had new purpose, new goals. I wanted to build a YouTube channel very similar to his, and I have a plan to 10x my income. So that is how the transformation begins. And you can position yourself simply by one system, by implementing the velocity banking system. And I want this change for you guys. I know you can do it. I've seen the changes in all the people who have began to implement this system, and it's simple and efficient. And that's what I like about it. I don't like to be overwhelmed. I don't like to be confused when I begin to implement a new system. I just want it to be simple and efficient so I can focus on other things in my life, right? So now that I began velocity banking, I'm going back to the gym, have hobbies, I'm building a business network, I am able to learn and practice things that I wasn't able in the past, like meditation, and I'm practicing a lot of things that I want to now, just because I began to implement this, and I have freed up a lot of my time in order to do the things that I want. So that's all I got for you guys today. It was a quick video, but I want to share that velocity banking can create peace of mind, right? If an emergency happens, you can tap into your lines of credit So it's a completely beneficial system for you guys to begin to implement and see those changes in your life. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you, and I'll talk to you guys soon.